So hello guys, welcome back. I've just gotten this game. It's a crazy game. I think this is the game of the year, in my opinion. I'm going to leave it to your own. I'm going to also put a link in the description for the other game that I thought was game of the year this year. The game between Majur and Panchol. It's also on the channel. But this game is just crazy. So it's round 9 and Isaiah Otieno, the kid from Mangu School, is playing Hilary Sagwa. It's a crazy player. I think you hear the name Hilary Sagwa and you expect a crazy game. He's actually one of the most talented players in Kenya, and this game is just insane in my opinion. I've never seen a game that has been played with such accuracy from actually both players, and it's just one of those cases where one player presses enough and presses longer than the other, and it becomes insanely hard to defend. So the game is interesting. Let's just dive straight into the game. It's round 8, round 9 actually. And to give it more context, Hillary or Isaiah Otieno, either of them has to win this to qualify for the second phase of the national team selection. So let's dive straight into it and see what happens. So the game starts with pawn to e4, and Hillary replied with knight to c6. So knight to f3, pawn to e5, and now pawn to d4, going for a scotch. Always nice to see such an opening. So e takes on d4, knight takes back, and now knight to f6 by Hilary Sagwa. So knight takes on c6, knight takes on c6, b takes back, and now bishop to d3, pawn to d5, pawn to e5, pushing the pawn further, and now knight to g4, attacking the pawn. And there's so many ways to defend it. You can play maybe queen to d2, you can even play f4, but f4 is quite risky because then bishop to c5 just stops you from castling at any point. So the other idea, and the idea that Isaiah Otieno went for, is bishop to f4. But in my opinion, this was a very provocative move because then the bishop becomes a very nice hook for the pawn to match up to g5 and actually push it away and then continue with some sort of an attack. But let's see what went on. So bishop to c5 was played by Hilary Sagwa, forcing the castling from white. You can maybe play rook to f1 instead of castling, and maybe try and go for a position where you can castle on the opposite sides of the board, but then Isaiah chose to castle immediately, and now pawn to g5, immediately attacking the bishop. Bishop moved back to g3, and then even pawn to h5, continuing with the attack. So pawn to h3, chasing the knight away, and we don't touch the knight, but we even play pawn to h4. Hilary Sagwa was not playing any simple game here. So bishop back to h2, knight takes h2, king takes back, and now pawn to g4. Crazy stuff. I mean, Hillary was just going for an all-out attack, and his position is just amazing. So Isaiah Otieno played pawn to f4. I think the best move for defending this position. The idea is, and we'll see it in a couple of moves, is after maybe rook to g8, you want to play now pawn to f5 as was played in the game, because then pawn to f5 cuts off the control of this bishop from that entire diagonal. But here, no matter what Isaiah Otieno was doing, he was defending the position extremely well, but it was the precision that they were both playing with was just insane. So g takes on h3, g takes back, and now queen to e7. The idea is to target this e5 pawn and deliver the check, and maybe find something crazy, because the king cannot move away from this file because of the control of the rook on this file, on the g file, and you really have to do something about the e5 pawn. You can maybe play rook to e1, and now bishop to f2 maybe, and don't really know what you can do. Maybe playing rook to e2, but now even queen to g5 is completely winning in this position. So instead of maybe going rook to e1, Isaiah Otieno, I don't know if his name is Isaac, but Isaiah Otieno played pawn to e6, and believe it or not, this position is complete. There's a mate in 5 in this position for Hilary Sagwa. You can try and pause the clock and find it, but Hillary actually did find it. So if you pause the clock and found it, well done to you. But the move is queen to d6 with check. Simple enough. King moves back to h1, but the move you actually had to find was rook to g2. Crazy stuff. So rook to g2 threatens queen to h2 with an immediate checkmate. So what can you really do about it? Can you capture the rook? If you capture the rook, then queen to g4, g3 is check, king has to go to h1, and now queen takes on h3 is checkmate. So what can you do in this position? As Otieno found the only move that prolonged the game, he played rook to f4, and now just queen takes on f4. He played now e takes on f7 with check, just trying to prolong the game. King to f8, very practical move. No need to capture the pawn and give this queen a lot of activity with maybe queen to h5 with check, because then the possibilities of a draw become more pronounced maybe. And now king takes on g2, and Sagwa played queen to g3 with check. King went to f1, doesn't matter, you can go to h1 or f1, it's still checkmate. And now queen to f2 with mate. Crazy game from Hillary, and with this game he qualifies for the second phase of the national team selection. So it's going to be a crazy national crazy second phase. Actually, there are a bunch of players there who are actually very lethal, and I'm going to try my best to maybe cover some games during the second phase of the national team selection. So this was the game, Isaiah Otieno versus Hilary Sagwa. Crazy game as it is. Don't forget to subscribe. We're going to be looking at more and more games like these. This is actually insane. In my opinion, I think this is the best game played this year. Just the level of accuracy that they both played with. You know, you might say that maybe one person played one inaccuracy and then lost the game, but this was, I mean, Isaiah held on for as long as he could, and Hillary just kept on applying pressure, and I think in the end he got what he deserved. So yeah, this was the game, Isaiah Otieno versus Hillary Sagwa. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And if you want to send me your games, I have my email in the channel, in the channel description, not in the channel description, but in the video description. You can send your games, we can look at them, and if they're good enough, we're going to show them. So yeah, this was the game. Hope you enjoyed it. Have an excellent rest of your week.